back to X-tricated. I am your favorite host, KB, the great one, and with me here is my sidekick. I know. You notice that I've no longer put Trusty because I no longer trust him. But then he's my sidekick, by the way, DDB.
Whatever. I told you people, he bullies me. And he's not supposed to bully me. I allow him. I just allow him to bully me. That's the way.
Who do you think will even believe you?
Uh,
If people go see us, who do you think will believe that kind of lie?
Is it because you gym?
Eh?
Is it because you gym or what?
If I dream, that means I can bully you easily now. But then a sweet baby boy like me, how will I be bullying somebody? You can't just come and be lying like that. Anyway, welcome back to X-tricated.
You should not mind KB. KB, how are you doing?
I am fine. Today we are recording on a Monday. I love Mondays. If you didn't know, Monday is one of the best day of the week. Yeah.
95 people will not agree with you.
They can come and argue with me, Sha.
People can come and fight him.
No problem. Bring out your sword. I'll be like that meme.
How was your week? How was last week now?
Last week was... I can't remember what happened last week.
Hey. The diary of a vet student. A vet final year student. Or she.
Anyway, so welcome back. Today we have an exciting topic. Exciting, more like depressing actually.
It's not depressing for me.
Actually, it's depressing.
For me, it is not depressing.
For somewhere like you,
what are you trying to say?
Psychopath, normal.
I'll not say anything. See, you must have that blooper. I've been asking this question. You people should go and ask for bloopers. I need you to see how this guy now weary. This guy now weary me. Weary. I've been waiting. I don't know. Where now weary this KBDB. Anyway, so
it's the way they try to speak Yoruba, but the Yoruba does not want to come out.
Don't worry, I'll learn soon enough. Anyway, before we go to the topic of today, guys, go and subscribe our channel on YouTube and follow us on all social media handles. Our social media handle is X-tricated.
Anyway, I say X-tricated, just follow.
Just follow. It's us. Anyways,
no, it might not be us, but
you see
once you see the logo,
you see it. Guess what? I was interviewing on Saturday, and a student interview recruitment purpose for an actors. And guess what happened? Someone from a department that I never saw coming. He came and then I was doing his interview. And after the interview, he was like, "I love your podcast." I was like, "Oh."
Aisha was not trying to butter you.
No, he was not trying to butter me.
You passed the interview?
No. Like you could see that the guy really listens to the podcast. His name is Alfred. Let me say it. His name is Alfred. Alfred, it was awesome meeting you. Loved meeting you. Loved the comment you made on our podcast, and thank you very much. He said our podcast is cool. Yeah.
It's such a weird God. Anyway, back to today's episode. You have succeeded in derailing again. Anyway, so today's episode, why I said it was a little bit depressing was because this has potential to spark another world war.
Yeah.
And it's none other than the South China Sea dispute. And today's topic is about why is the South China Sea even important in the first place. We just want to take a look. We just want to talk about that. And in the course of our discussion, we're going to talk about how it came about, what has happened in the past, and what's happening right now. Let's do a little bit of geography.
And history.
Geography and history, yeah. So
I think to understand the situation, you need to. I think we said it back on what episode. I can't remember. Okay, it was on this Russia Ukraine thing, right? That we talked about. So for this one,
you mean Israel Palestine?
Okay, we actually did it for both. We did it for both Ukraine and Russia, and for this as well. So this is what will happen here. the structure of this is basically we're going to look at the history, and after looking at the history, like previous history, I know we'll not explain why this place is that important, very important to China and all the world powers. Then we're going to talk about what is going on right now and where we find ourselves, and why we think it can lead, possibly spark a World War III. I think it's even inevitable, but anyway, we never know. We never know, so we don't pray for that. So yeah, KB,
Okay.
historian.
I'm not a historian.
Historian.
I'm not a historian.
Historian.
Anyway, so the South China Sea is this beautiful, very valuable sea that is located obviously in the southeastern part of Asia, and it is bordered by 6 countries. China to the north, to the east it is Vietnam, to the south we have Indonesia and Brunei, then to the west we have Philippines, to
Southeast.
to the southeast
Southeast
we have
Malaysia.
Taiwan.
Is Malaysia southeast?
The southeast, yes.
Yeah,
yes, it's
southeast.
Malaysia.
Southeast is not Malaysia. Sorry, southwest is Malaysia. South is Brunei and Indonesia. Then west is Philippines.
Oh yeah,
right,
yeah, that's
and
true.
then the northeast is then Taiwan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this sea is home for how many $1 trillion of trade actually passes through that sea.
But that trade route always has, I think, based on numbers, more than 33% of the total global trade,
Yeah.
right, that goes around the world passes through that particular route, right? That is number one. And then number two, out of the 100% of the fishing activity in the world, I think more than 60%
It's located in the South China Sea.
happens in the South China Sea.
So
Like
and-
that's like ridiculous number. So in the whole world, that place has the most.
not to mention that the South China Sea is also even a link between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
And like we said, we're talking about history. Going back to look at the history of these disputes that came about. I mean, I was saying something the other day that literally every conflict in this world can be tied back to World War II, and if you can tie back anything to World War II, you can literally legit tie it back to World War One.
Exactly.
All wars are related because
Yeah.
even World War One had a precursor somewhere.
Yeah.
But then we've not gone that deep. But then so
For World War One, I think that one goes deep. It goes back.
yes.
It goes back more than 50, 60 years.
So starting in the 1930s, you know that period there were a lot of colonial masters and all that. You know, you had colonial masters like France, even USA had its own what's it called, colonial interests, especially in the Asian region.
Yeah.
You know, they colonized Philippines at some point. So we had in the 1930s now we had
What is Taiwan called normally apart from Taiwan?
a Republic of China.
Republic of China.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Taiwan was actually part of China.
Yes.
Now they are not part of China. But they still carry that
If you're
Republic of China.
if you're even reading the history, you might even get confused because you start seeing Republic of China and then you'll be seeing People's
Republic of China.
You
Exactly.
see ROC, you see PRC, but then most times when you see ROC, you're just actually referring to Taiwan.
Yeah.
So there were France was very active in that region, in the
Yeah.
Southeast Asian region.
Very.
So they were administering countries like Vietnam, part of it, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, right? These 3 countries were part of what they call French Indochina at that time.
Yeah.
So during so they laid claim to those islands in that area. There are 2 main group of islands. It's not like as if it's just one island. We have the Paracel Islands, we have the Spratlys.
Yes.
So Spratly Islands. So they laid claim to those islands, and you know when the World War came about, you know how Japan's alliance was with the Germans. I know that Germans were against France and stuff. So the Japanese basically challenged the French authority in that region by going to claim those islands in 1939. They claimed those islands, the Paracel and the Spratlys. So they actually took over and stuff. But then you know the outcome of the war and everything. So after that, and you know that Japan was actually like trying. In fact, they controlled that region during that period. Like towards the end of that time, they're like the strongest power in that region.
Japan
controlling China, controlling all those places, exactly. Korea and likes. So
I think the only
after the fall,
the only place they were not really strong is those places that France like had control over. But they actually
but they were challenging it.
They were challenging it actually. They eventually took I think let me even say took control, but they pushed France away.
Yes. So and France was greatly weakened by that war.
Yeah.
They were greatly weak. I mean, come on, like the main war was even really fought on French land. to start with.
Yeah.
So after the weakening and everything, you know, when China started gaining like control over the regaining control, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
They started looking for how they will administer that area. So they got this old map from some old
folklore.
So they now decided to create 9 dashes, the fabled 9-dash line.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history. That was it. They say okay, and if you check pictures of it, you see the 9-dash line like a U shape.
Yes.
So they say this everywhere this line touches is our own.
It's their own.
You understand? Which is wild because that is about 90% of the entire South China Sea. Yeah. So there's many people have been challenging.
There's been disputes, especially from the Philippines as well.
Yes, very true.
The Philippines have really fought this, and they actually won using UN clause rather, right? UN clause is basically, what is UN clause?
The United Nations Convention on United Nations Convention or something. I can't even remember.
But anyway, what the UN clause did was basically like there was a signed treaty, right, between every part of every country that was there, and then China was also part of
the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea.
Exactly.
UNCLOS.
UNCLOS. My one is UN close. But anyway, I once called it UNICLOS. Anyway, during that period, I think between 1939 down to 1960 something, that dispute happened when Philippines won it. They won claim of that area.
The UNCLOS thing basically came to be in the 80s actually.
Okay, the 80s. Yes. Oh wow.
Throughout between after the war, you know, the war ended in like 1945.
Yes,
so 1945, 1947. That's when like China actually like really
created the 9-dash.
Yes,
right?
that 9-dash line, and then everybody was like, who are these people? What are they
trying to do?
You understand? And you know, in the 1940s,
you guys should note something. The long game. Note the long game. It started since when? 1945. Let's continue.
In the 1940s, right? That is when oil was really, really, really being discovered.
Yes.
In most parts of the world. You understand? And then, you know, discovering oil deposits. Okay, what are the characteristics that are making people to discover oil here? You look for those same characteristics in other places. You understand? And then oil was actually discovered in that place. And then, you know, growing energy needs, all this type of thing. You know how he who has oil has power, essentially. I know how oil was important in that war.
Yeah, very, very important.
I think it was eventually what caused the will I say demise of Germany in that war. Yeah. Because Germany had machines. Damn.
That they had. Anyway, back to Philippines, right? In the 80s and 90s, I don't know when they won the case, but they won the case, which China are part of it anyway. They are part of the whole thing of UN clause. But till today, China have not agreed that win that Philippines had. And now, because of that, since China are also claiming, me too, Brunei, me too, I'm claiming one. Vietnam, I'm claiming another. Taiwan, me too, I'm claiming no. So, since nobody has agreed, let's all disagree. All disagree.
And
if you see the lines that are there now, of who claims what territory, the way they overlap each other, it's just so confusing. I mean, even you know, I think there was one spokesperson of China that told the US to stay out of the matter.
Speaking of US, actually, before we even start speaking of US,
Yeah,
why is the South China Sea
very important.
very important? So we already mentioned oil. That is already one factor.
We also
And
mentioned the trade.
Wherever there's oil,
Yeah, you know.
plenty
You
people
know,
are interested, and
exactly.
then that country that's red, white, and blue in their flag to be interested, but then they're not that big a
Yeah.
player compared to the countries that are actually in the region.
Yeah.
But then still, there's heavy interest in that area.
Mhm.
So aside from that,
The reason why
liquefied natural gas.
The reason why US are there is because of Taiwan, one, and number
Yes.
two, they are trying to actually spy on the activities of China.
And
And-
Philippines are also say they are allies too.
Even Japan, the Japanese are also allies to Philippines because they are giving them weapons and
Yeah.
against the strategies that
Literally nobody
China
wants
doing.
China to like take control,
take control of that place. Exactly, because
Especially USA.
exactly that's the third reason. Because the third reason is because if they get control of that place the way they want to get control of that place, which I think they will get control, because whatever is happening is just delaying the inevitable, right? When they get control of that place and their Belt and Road Initiative is working.
Yeah, here we go, the Belt and Road Initiative again.
Oh boy. No, now they will control the whole trade routes,
I get what
the
you mean.
world trade routes as it is.
China,
What does that mean?
China has been investing a lot when it comes to trade.
A lot.
They want to make sure that they control all trade, and
All trade routes.
and it seems like they're succeeding. Even down to Africa, you see where
No, they've captured Africa.
China
already.
has planted its roots.
They've already captured Africa.
You know that
at the moment.
China truly has already captured Africa.
And they are capturing Asia.
So they need to capture other places.
Just that even the Asia are being stubborn head right now. The Asians know exactly what's going on.
Because they are neighbors and they know why.
They know why, exactly. They know why. So
they know the value of what is there.
Yeah,
You
and
understand?
then the fourth reason is because of Taiwan. That's why US is there. Fourth reason is because of Taiwan. China want to take control of Taiwan. Now we're going to have a different episode
because of this.
It's still part of this series, but has to do with China and Taiwan and why US is actually bugging. But it has to do with semiconductors. We'll talk about that later, the importance of semiconductors. But then, like, when semiconductors, like, anyway, we'll talk about it. Let them just leave it there.
So another part is the fish. That sea is very rich in fish, and then you know that Asian diet is very, very dependent on seafood.
Fish, yes, thank you, seafood.
So aside from the fact that there's subsistence, there's also export. You understand? So that's also another economic benefits to them.
And they're very good at processing the fish that you get.
Not to talk of liquefied natural gases, and then the islands that are there. Those islands can be converted into so many things, and then the fact that, in fact, this brings us to like what is actually like happening there. Like when Xi Jinping came into power in 2012, like there was now acceleration basically of
the whole plan,
artificial islands, basically, because you could actually, if you go to that area, you see that there are places that are just like reefs or rocks, but then China comes in and converts those places
reefs
into
to
artificial islands. There are islands quite alright, but then those rocks are not useless to them. You understand? They convert them into artificial. So in that place, they build airstrips, landing for their aircraft, and then also outposts, military outposts.
Not just any military
radars.
Not just military, advanced military outposts. Advanced military outposts,
which brings them even closer to their enemies.
Now
brings them closer to Taiwan. Brings them closer to other countries in that area.
See what they are doing, bro. What these guys are doing, is basically, as KB mentioned, like creating artificial islands. But they're not just creating artificial islands just like that anyhow. They're creating it strategically.
Yes.
So there are islands that are controlled. If you remember, we talked about the 9 dashes. that are controlled by all these countries, right? So what they do is that they'll go close to these 9 dashes, close to these controlled areas, and then these controlled areas for either Taiwan, Philippines, each controlled area has islands. So what they go and do is they create artificial islands around the around the island, and then which makes that island their own, basically, because they have advanced military outposts are surrounding it. So what can you do? They're basically controlling you.
You have a gun pointing
pointing
or
at
you're
you.
staring down the barrel of a gun.
Exactly. What can you do? You get back. So I think that is basically, they call it salami slicing and then one cabbage wrapping. Yeah, salami slicing or cabbage wrapping strategy.
Strategy, right?
It's a long-term strategy, and they are willing to play it for as long as it will take till they erode till the southern part close to Brunei. That's what they want to do, and it looks as if they are doing it, and this is where United States come in now.
Aside from that's very good. Aside from the fact that they are doing all this, they also carry a lot of naval operations.
Yes.
China has never been really known to have a good navy. You think of navies like in Asia, you think about Japan, because when you think about if you go back to World War II, Japan had a very strong navy.
Japan.
Remember,
first, then we have Korea. North Korea.
So Japan, you know the whole naval warfare between USA and Japan during that period and stuff. So it's quite, let's say, epic, for lack of better words.
It's epic.
So
it's legendary. It's legendary.
so yes. So we have, aside from that, you just mentioned USA. So now USA, as you said, they have their interests and everything. So China have stamped their ground. They say, nobody should enter our land. Nobody should enter nobody should enter our island. Meaning, nobody should cross without their permission. Don't enter without our permission.
They are basically claiming that as their land. That's basically
you see that we're talking about.
Yes, they are basically claiming the sea as their own.
aside from sailing through that sea, flying over too is also a problem. So it's more like, okay, you're trying to come and spy and see what they're doing. You understand?
Basically, that's what US are doing.
So they just keep on taking, to claim those islands, they keep on having military exercises. And what they do, maybe drills, testing of weapons, all this type of thing, just causing havoc in that area, making the people around you to be scared.
Especially the islands that they are surrounding.
Imagine,
wrapping up.
Yeah, imagine, let's say, bandits now, for example, in Nigeria. They want to tell you now that they have advanced weaponry. So, right, it's not like as if they're coming to attack you. They just come maybe to the front of your house and just start firing their guns, and then they go.
They will not even touch you. They'll just fire.
Just to intimidate you.
You yourself,
you understand? That's exactly what what they are doing rather. But USA, they agree. They say they must is it freedom of navigation?
Yeah, freedom of navigation.
So they carry out freedom of navigation operations, also known as phone ops or fun ops. That's very fun. Anyway, so they go into those waters too, and then they carry out their own drills too.
Yeah.
And they also invite countries to come and join them.
Exactly.
You understand? Sometimes they even invite.
I guess what countries used to be invited.
I think of recent they even invited a country like Australia into the mix.
There's France
is invited.
UK too.
And then all those in Taiwan too. They invite Taiwan definitely to come and take part and that type of thing. So all these actions keep on escalating the situation in the region, and it makes it seem like you said, war is inevitable in that region. You understand?
As long as US and the other G8 do not stop what they are doing, it's going to incite a war, because that place is very volatile.
Yes.
Because you have to choose sides. Which side you can't be in between. You have to choose side. Because as a G8, you do not want China to take power. That if they take power, that is the end of other.
Not to mention China's enemy to the north.
Thank you,
India.
So
India too have already started staking their own claims, because obviously
exactly, yes,
there are riches to be found.
They say them to they own
a piece of the pie.
Exactly, they want a piece of the pie, because they are even having a freedom of navigation around the sea, and they are making drills as well. And nobody invited them; they just invited themselves. I think.
Bad guys.
India,
and the kind of thing that will make you scared of China India has it basically.
Yes.
They have the population, they have the technology, all those type of things. So,
And India are gradually
and they have the landmass too.
Exactly, they're gradually growing, and even their
And it's
naval
also
might
a
now.
nuclear power too.
Exactly, and their naval might at the moment is increasing. India is one of the top 5, top 3 rather in the world.
Really?
Yeah, check if I'm not mistaken. Either top 5 or top 3 in the world at the moment. They are really. But anyway, let's keep that. We're going to talk about India and their labor might, but actually, it's going to even be part of that. We have BRICS. We're going to talk about BRICS. We're going to talk about Taiwan, Indonesia, and all that aspect. Then Belt Road Initiative. I think we've talked about Belt and Road Initiative.
No, not yet.
We've not talked about that. Yeah. So anyway, that is the wrap of this particular episode, guys. What do you think of China and what they are doing? Yeah, very, very important question. I think we're going to also ask that in our community and have an intense debate if possible. I want us to have an intense debate. I like what China are doing. I actually want them to take over.
Wow.
Yes, I want China to take over. As much, see, I'm someone that like capitalism, right? But for some reason, I like their systems. I like their system and how they are doing things. Not because
they're capitalists.
yeah, actually they are capitalists. They are stylishly a communal capitalists. That is, I mean, communist capitalists.
Wow.
There should be a word. There should be a word around it.
Comic capitalists.
Ah, God. But anyway, they are doing their thing in a smart way. And the second thing is that I have reservations around US. I have reservations around
China are the same. So I cannot like you said, nobody can choose a side. Me personally, thank God I'm not even in that region. I'm not choosing any side. Both of them should. In fact.
Let me know what I wanted to say. All right. Bye bye.